shaft.
Chris Arps, you live in U City, don't you?
I did. I saw that story.
Yeah.
It was very disturbing.
That was disturbing.
University City has a sizable Jewish community. Where I live, I see the Orthodox Jews on Friday evening are walking to the synagogue and doing their thing. So it was very disturbing.
Well, it is disturbing, although, I don't know what people accomplish by vandalizing the cemetery.
Yeah.
It's not hurting the feelings of anybody who's there. And the last news account I'd read of it, they hadn't drawn a conclusion that it was anti-Semitic necessarily. For all they know, it was a bunch of drunk teenagers who just started toppling over headstones because some were affected and ones right next to them weren't. So it appeared to be rather random with whatever they did. Although, I mean, it's a shame, don't get me wrong, but I think it's a little early for somebody in the national media to somehow be tying that to Trump. And then Hillary Clinton tweets out something about it, about how the POTUS needs to speak out about this. They need stronger White House denunciations, as if the assumption is that somehow these people that did this, who are anti-Semitic, are Trump supporters. And I don't think anything could be further from the truth.
I think it's all part of the narrative where they're trying to paint Donald Trump as misogynist, as anti-black, anti-Jewish. I tell you, I was listening to a story coming down here, and they were talking about the attacks and the bomb threats that were being sent in to some of these Jewish community centers. Right. And one thing that kind of made me a little bit suspicious is there seems to be a sophistication in these pranks, because they were saying that the voices were being masked electronically. Now, to go through that much trouble to do all this makes my conspiratorial mind think that this is being financed somewhere trying to make Republicans and Donald Trump supporters look bad. I wouldn't put that past these people.
Which is crazy. It kills me when I hear the Jewish community being critical of a president who sent his United States ambassador. And I wanted John Bolton for that job. He sends Nikki Haley to the UN. She opens up with telling him, hey, hello, I'm Nikki. I'm new here, and some things are about to change. That's kind of how she started, right? And then she came out of her first ever UN Security Council meeting the other day, and she held a news conference. She said to the reporters, I hope we get along, but here's where I stand on things. I can't believe what I just heard. Listen.
It's the first meeting like that I've attended, and I have to say it was a bit strange. The Security Council is supposed to discuss how to maintain international peace and security. But at our meeting on the Middle East, the discussion was not about Hezbollah's illegal buildup of rockets in Lebanon. It was not about the money and weapons Iran provides to terrorists. It was not about how we defeat ISIS. It was not about how we hold Bashar al-Assad accountable for the slaughter of hundreds and thousands of civilians. No, instead the meeting focused on criticizing Israel, the one true democracy in the Middle East.
Thank you, Nikki Haley.
Yeah. And you have to remember, this has been going on for years, that we've seen these rogue nations around the country that treat women terribly. They stone people, but these people are on committees, UN committees, talking about human rights and security.
Yeah.
And it's become just a vehicle to basically attack Israel. So it's going to be nice for once to see the United States of America, Israel's strongest ally, standing up for them in a body that's been taken over by a bunch of radicals.
I don't know what real impact the Trump folks can end up having on the UN. It's been such a professional debate society for so long. It's a joke when we learned a couple of years ago that the Human Rights Commission that they have at the United Nations, the chair changes randomly to whoever's next in line. And there have been times when, like, Libya or Iraq have been the head of the Human Rights Council. How can you have a Human Rights Council with that group of actors at the top of it? There's no legitimacy to it.
Even though the UN has lost its legitimacy a long time ago, and I don't know how much the ambassador can do anything, I still think the United States still has a lot of weight because, one, we pay the most dues to the UN, and the UN ambassador, if she gets up every single day pointing out how the disparities of this, I think that it can have some type of impact in the long run.
Yeah, she's not playing for any fools over this. She said, there's something going on here, and we are not going to tolerate this. Listen again.
I am new around here, but I understand that's how the council has operated month after month for decades. I'm here to say the United States will not turn a blind eye to this anymore. I'm here to underscore the ironclad support of the United States for Israel. I'm here to emphasize the United States is determined to stand up to the UN's anti-Israel bias. We will never repeat the terrible mistake of Resolution 2334 and allow one-sided Security Council resolutions to condemn Israel. Instead, we will push for action on the real threats we face in the Middle East.
Thank you, Nikki Haley. Once again, pointing out, guess what, Jewish people? The Obama administration did that to you. We're going to try to make it right. And on our watch, that will never happen again. And today we have mainstream media decrying the fact that the White House hasn't made stronger denunciations about anti-Semitism.
And hopefully this strong show supported by our ambassador will bring some of our allies along with them, because France and Britain and some of them voted against this anti-Israel measure. So maybe that it's not just a shot to our adversaries that are against Israel. It's also kind of a come home message to our allies that, hey, things are going to change. We are the Western countries. We're not going to be against Israel.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see.
Very true. Very true. Hey, what do you think about the CPAC issue that's going on with Milo Yiannopoulos? Did you hear about that? Did you read? Did you listen to it?
Let's put it this way: I woke up this morning about 5 a.m. and did my internet surfing, and that was the first thing that came up before I ate anything. So I didn't delve too much into that. But
so I'm going to play it. These are the comments that Milo Yiannopoulos made. It's not graphic, but it's disturbing on some level. He's just not real specific here on what he means.
This arbitrary and oppressive idea of consent, which totally destroys, the understanding that many of us have of the complexities and subtleties and complicated nature of many relationships. People are messy and complex, and actually, in the homosexual world particularly, some of those relationships between younger boys and older men, the sort of coming-of-age relationships, the relationships in which those older men help those young boys to discover who they are and give them security and safety and provide them with love and a reliable and sort of a rock where they can't speak to their parents.
I don't think Milo is representative of what the Republican Party is talking about, the big tent.
He claims that was taken out of context, that he wasn't talking about older men and boys who are prepubescent. He was talking about if there's a 17 or 18-year-old male and a older male, which is what he claims. Like, he now claims he was a victim of abuse when he was young.
Yeah, well,
and that he had his first relationship when he was 14 or 15, which would hit the age of consent where he's from.
I don't know about you, Mark.
I'm not defending him.
I'm
not defending him at all. That's his explanation of what he meant there.
No, what I'm saying is I don't know about you, but coming of age to me is not 17.
Well,
coming of age is 12, 13, young pubescent, as you said. So maybe they have a different definition where he's from, but coming of age is
he
not
said
17,
he said he's
18.
spoken out against pedophilia, but what they've accused him of there is condoning it. There's a longer interview where he made some other comments about he almost alleged that he had been not a victim of sex abuse by a priest, but a willing participant, and was a teenager when that happened, but he wouldn't say really how old he was, in mid-teens somewhere. And the guy basically accused him of covering up for a pedophile, and he denied that. But Milo, this is why when this whole thing broke at the Berkeley campus, I was very clear. I've heard some of his more outrageous comments. He's not somebody that I'm not a fan of his style. I'm not defending what he said. I'm defending his right to say it. Just like I do these idiot protesters in Clayton today who are outside Senator Blunt's office. I'll defend your right to say it as long as you're not punching somebody in the face. But in this case, I mean, the fact that he's lost his book deal, he got canceled from CPAC. Breitbart is about to fire him because they found that none of this is new. He did this a while ago. But he's had a target on his back since this thing in Berkeley.
Well, I think as a capitalist, I'm just going to look at this as the market speaking, and I don't think he's going to sell too many books or be very in need of or people wanting him to speak with these kind of allegations.
Yeah, I
it
think
sounds very bad to me.
It definitely hurt his brand, even the allegations, as much as he's denied them so far.
Big tent.
This is what he said about it.
But I don't want to blame anyone because I said the things that you've seen, and some of them were very stupidly worded. Some of the wording that I used was dumb. And if I could go back, in most cases, you guys know, if I say something outrageous or offensive, in most cases my only regret is I didn't piss off more people. But in this case, if I could do it again, I wouldn't phrase things the same way.
So there you have it. That's his explanation of what he said. All right, got to get to a break. 314-969-9797. Chris Arps is going to stick around. Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft's going to join us in the next segment. We'll be right back.
This is the Mark Cox Show.